Hello, 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 stream, and we are back. We are back, and we are going to be running the last section of the VOD review from the grand finals of last year. Last night, I did the San Francisco Shock versus Seoul Dynasty, the first four maps. Sadly, my files corrupted for map 1 and 2, but I was able to upload map 3 and 4, and today we're going to do map 5 and 6, and we're going to see the outcome of the series. So let's get ready. Alright. So, we left off with the Seoul Dynasty winning 2 maps in a row, and they just full held the Shock on Watchpoint Gibraltar. And now let's go. It looks like our next 5th map is going to be Control. And they're going to end up playing Busan.
Our bracket for Plaid Chat, kind of looked at it and it was like, man, it's so hard to predict.
Let's mute the stream and let's get ready to watch. Alright. So on Busan, Smurf is now on for the San Francisco Shock, so they're going to run a ball here. A ball dive with whatever DPS they like running. Striker might either go Hanzo or he might go Tracer. The Seoul Dynasty will keep running their Hog Sigma comp. That's what they like running. That's what they're going to keep running. That's what they're good at. And it's gotten them 2 maps so far, the last 2. So let's see what goes on. Ons comes out on the Widowmaker, Striker on the Tracer to companion the ball in the dives, and Violet's Discord to help dive out. Prophet on the Ashe and Fitz on the Hanzo. This is a switch up from the last 4 maps, in all honesty. And we go in. Prophet pushes in Engage. There's an Engage. They get Choyobin. Gesture picks off, but the shot pick off really quick, and now they get 3 picks. Violet gets 1, Striker gets 1, Ons gets 1. The ball rolls in. Mercy gonna die. Gesture gets a good hook, but doesn't seem to get anything. Ball does die, but the San Francisco Shock are able to take point with Striker. They might lose point because the Seoul Dynasty are able to take the fight, but they don't seem to go to point. They seem to want to take on another fight and win then. So here comes the next fight. The San Francisco Shock coming up top, re-engaging. Gesture taking a lot of damage. He might get rocked. He doesn't get rocked. And now they push in. Ons gets a great pick on Fitz. Gesture with an amazing hook on Choyobin. Striker pushes in. Ons pushes in. They get 2 big picks on Prophet and Gesture, the hard carries for the Seoul Dynasty. Violet pushes in and gets pick on Marvel. Moth gets a res. And the San Francisco Shock are all of a sudden back up again. And they've managed to maintain control of the point this whole time. We keep going, and we see that the San Francisco Shock do have their ball ult, their Zenyatta ult, and they're going to have their Mercy ult coming up. The Seoul Dynasty have switched over to a Sombra, tried to hack this ball and not allow him to have as much mobility and maybe hook him or kill him as fast as possible. Prophet remains on the Ashe. Gesture does have his ult, so the Hog ult, the Mercy ult, and the Nano boost for the Seoul Dynasty. That's huge. Their win, what they rely on the win is just nanoing Hog. Prophet gets a big pick on Ons, and now they can engage. They don't have a sniper. Marvel gets a huge pick on the Mercy, no res either. Let's see if they can pick off the Tracer. And it just looks like they won't be picking off the Tracer, but Zenyatta does push ult on point. They're going to try to hold for as long as they can. Hopefully the rest of the team can come back. But Gesture just pushes Choyobin off the map, and Gesture gets another one. He misses his hook, but they still win. Ons gets 1 pick on Creative, and they are down a healer, but the Seoul Dynasty have point, and they've taken point control. Alright, so we're going to pause real fast here. We see that the Seoul Dynasty were able to take control, but they had to use their Nano Boost, they had to use their Mercy ult, and they had to use their Hog ult. That's huge. Those are their win conditions. Now they're going to have to hold this point for about 99%, or at least 2 to 3 good fights, because if the Shock take this point back in a scrappy fight, the Seoul Dynasty aren't going to be able to contest with what they want to be able to contest. Prophet will have Bob here to have some sort of point stabilization. And the big thing for the Seoul Dynasty is to get this EMP going and get Choyobin and Violet dead right away, or Smurf, any of the tanks. Now, on the other hand, the San Francisco Shock just lost their Transcendence, so they won't have that as a counter to the Sombra EMP. So we're going to see if the Sombra EMP can come in and get Violet and get a tank. And if that's what happens, the Seoul Dynasty have a good shot at holding this point for quite a while and letting up the rest of their ult restart charging up and get good ult economy. Marvel gets a nice little pick on Ons here. And it just seems that for now, the Shock are going to reset, get everyone together, take their time. They do have a substantial lead on point. Fitz tries charging up EMP, but doesn't get anything done. Smurf about to go take some point contention, and so does Striker. Marvel pulls up his ult, so does Choyobin, who gets the kill, Choyobin dies. Big pick on the Sigma, and Prophet and Fitz get 2 huge picks onto the enemy team. They didn't use EMP, and Prophet only had to use his Bob. That's huge. The Shock haven't invested any ults except for their Sigma ult, but they were able to trade it with the other Sigma ult. Now, what's really big here is if the Sombra can EMP, get 3 kills right here. Huge. Here comes an EMP. They push in. They get Violet. He's down. Gesture gets another pick. Fitz, 2 huge picks here. Gets the Choyobin and gets Violet. Both down. Mercy does pop ult, and it's a bit of a waste of an ult as they can't get anything off of it. There's no life. Okay. Now we're back to it. The Seoul Dynasty did everything they needed to do. The problem is that the San Francisco Shock literally have just been farming their ults. They're going to have 3 ults. They're going to have Zen ult, which is just going to be ginormous. If Choyobin dies here, Choyobin does die. Sigma dies. Prophet does get the Smurf. And it looks like the Shock are restabilizing on point. A lot's going on. And big minds over by Smurf. He's able to destabilize the team, but the Seoul Dynasty get both healers. That's huge. Striker does get Toby in return. Can Sigma get Ashe here? As long as he takes her off the point. Prophet trying to kill the Tracer. And it seems like they need to get point now as there's no more time. Choyobin gets hacked and he's killed. Fitz putting on an absolute show right now. Prophet doing good job, and they've taken point back. They're going to have Bob, and they can have EMP for this fight. It looks like the Seoul Dynasty might be able to pull off another map and keep stumbling the San Francisco Shock. But Fitz EMPs. He gets Violet, but he seems to EMP a little bit too early. He only got 1 person. And Gesture gets killed on the ball. Everything seems to be going sideways for the Seoul Dynasty at the moment. The Shock are coming back on the point. Prophet does have a Bob potentially puts up, but Ons kills Prophet right away. They can't put Bob on point, and they might T9. If Marvel doesn't touch point, Marvel touches point just enough time. Okay, Prophet gets rest. He's able to put Bob on point. Marvel somehow kills himself. Creative has Nano. He needs to Nano someone fast. Gesture doesn't know what to do. Gesture just rolling around point. It's a fight between the Prophet gets a big pick, but Creative goes down. They're down a healer, and they get a res. Oh, the time almost runs out. But the San Francisco Shock just keep getting kill after kill after kill. Oh, Marvel tries to ult point, but he's going to get C9'd. Wow. Huge last fight. The Seoul Dynasty could have really won that point. For some reason, Fitz EMP'd really early. They still had like 20% to go in the EMP. And that's very worrisome. I don't know. It feels like the Seoul Dynasty might have thrown that map just right there. Back to another ball-heavy map. I think this is going to be a good map for the San Francisco Shock. Smurf's ball is incredible. Striker's Tracer is probably the best Tracer in the world. And now they're going to dive on a map where diving is practically essential. Let's see if the Seoul Dynasty are able to keep it up with their Hog and Sigma Comptha. We see the fast TP move out, but it'll probably switch out for snipers. Okay, so we see that the Seoul Dynasty end up taking the Sombra. Meanwhile, the SF Shock play the Tracer. Big difference in ults, but it really depends. Can they get an effect off the Sombra? It was working last round, and it almost got them the round, but they lost it at the very last second. Fetz gets a big pick on Ons, and the Shock are down 1. They do get a big res. Moth and his reses have been crucial this whole series. Prophet takes a lot of damage, but he's still alive. Can just hit a big hook. Nothing goes on. San Francisco Shock takes some point. Violet gets a big pick and Marvel dies. The San Francisco Shock are now up 2 and they take point. Gesture gets a big pick on Smurf, but I doubt they'll be able to push in on this unless he gets another big pick. He's probably going to die right here, and there he goes. He dies to Striker. Can Striker get another big pick? Huge kill onto the Mercy. Unless she... Oh my god, they might get out alive. No, they just stagger. More and more and more. The San Francisco Shock got the start they wanted. Fitz is close to his EMP though, and they don't really have any counter on the SF Shock side. Violet is charging up his Transcendence as we speak, but he doesn't have it quite yet. The Seoul Dynasty restabilizing. Fitz trying to get a pick on the backside or maybe a good hack so that the rest of the team can push in and engage off a good hook. But nothing goes on. We see the Seoul Dynasty push the opposite side to what the Shock are playing. The only person here is Striker, just trying to keep hold and guard of anything else going on here. Do the Seoul Dynasty move towards point or they try wrapping all the way around? They move towards point. We see that the Sigma moves towards point. Striker he misses his post bomb, but he's about to kill Creative. Creative is 1 HP, and the Ana dies. Striker gets a big pick on the Ana. The Seoul Dynasty do flip point, but they do lose their main healer. EMP goes out. EMP does get Violet, but misses everyone else. Smurf really low, and this Mercy's going crazy. Choyobin's actually 1 HP. Prophet gets a big pick on the Smurf. It's going nuts. Gets 2, and Moth gets the res. Striker gets a kill, and the Seoul Dynasty were only able to get 10% off of that fight. Seeming to not have a lot of success off the EMP they engaged with. They do have 4 ults here, and they're about to engage again. The Shock do have Violet's Transcendence, which should be huge and should allow them to sustain almost anything that gets pushed in here, but we'll see. The Seoul Dynasty can have 5 ults on this engage, and they should be able to win if they're able to take Violet out, and that's been the key to this whole series. When the Seoul Dynasty are able to take the Zenyatta out of the equation, they win the point. The Discord Orb is out, and Violet just isn't allowed to do as much work. Sigma ults, nothing gets out of this. Back here, Striker just being a pest to the Ana. Oh, what a shot from Prophet. Absolutely destroys Striker. Transcendence on point. Bob is about to die. Can anyone get one more pick? Prophet being a menace. Prophet gets a huge. Prophet going off. Prophet gets 3k. Prophet about to get a 4. Oh my god, Prophet's popping off. Prophet solo carrying this point. Holy Christ. He got huge picks. Pick after pick after pick. Gets 4 picks and practically keeps the Seoul Dynasty in this map. Or else they're about to get 2-0'd right away. Gesture still has his ult, and we see that the EMP can be charged before the other team can get their Transcendence up online. This is going to be a pretty dry fight from what we're going to see, as only Striker has his ult and only Hog has his ult. Seoul Dynasty are probably going to want to charge their EMP here more than anything. Striker goes in, tries engaging with his pulse bomb, misses. He gets shot once, is able to stay alive, and now there's Restabilize. Restabilize, everyone just starts restabilizing together. Big Prophet trying to peek in, maybe make another hero play like he just did last. Smurf is hacked. Smurf goes down, and now they're up. Now they're up 1. They need to engage and kill the Sigma as quick as possible. Prophet. Fitz does have EMP. Striker does get Gesture, which is big because now the San Francisco Shock can come back. They do have sights up, and Striker gets the Bob. And Striker is just being a menace on point. He gets hacked EMP. Now, the EMP does get Violet, but it doesn't seem to structure much more for the Seoul Dynasty as much as them died. But Prophet gets a kill. Marvel gets a kill. And the Seoul Dynasty are keeping their hopes alive to win this map. Moth does get a big res, as he's been getting all series. Let's see what goes on. Prophet, can he get another kill? Prophet gets another kill on the odds. Can he get another kill on the Mercy? Oh, huge shot. Gesture swoops in for the final blow, and they stabilize. They're back in. They can win this map. If they play everything correctly. San Francisco Shock don't have any big ult except for their Smurf ult. They might be able to get Transcendence, but Toby does have ult. If they can engage with their Guardian Angel and push in completely, the Seoul Dynasty can get a quick pick or 2 and win this fight and get themselves a 3rd point on Busan. We see Prophet keep holding this deep angle from far away. Gets a nice headshot, but Striker gets a pulse bomb on Marvel. That's huge. They lose their main tank. But Prophet trades it right back. Prophet's absolutely going bonkers, mental. He's carrying the Seoul Dynasty. But the San Francisco Shock do flip the point. Both tanks are back up in res. Seoul Dynasty seems to start losing. Prophet doesn't get any peak. And the San Francisco Shock get their Transcendence. And oh my god, Ons gets Mercy and gets Ash. Ons goes absolutely crazy. And the San Francisco Shock take the 5th map of the series. They are able to bounce back after losing 2 maps to the Seoul Dynasty, and they take Busan 2-0. And now we're on for the 6th map. It is going to be the Seoul Dynasty's pick. It was really close. Prophet went absolutely nuts. He was going mental. He had a big 4K hero play, and his team almost was able to force a 3rd point on Busan, but they did not. The dive by the San Francisco Shock proved to work. The ball was a menace, and they didn't really have an answer for it. The Hog wasn't enough. So now we go to the 6th map on the series, which will end up being Hollywood. they're going to end up playing Hollywood. As we see here, it's the first to 4. The Shock took the first 2, the Seoul Dynasty took the second 2, and now the Shock took the 5th map. We see that Super comes in for Smurf. We know that Super's a main Hog player, so they're going to be playing Hog Sigma again to try to counteract the Hog Sigma that the Seoul Dynasty play, which tends to be meta at the moment. We're going to see if Violet plays Baptiste or the Zenyatta at this point. Baptiste can be quite critical, at least on this map, because of Immortality Field, considering how long everything is ranged out. But we'll end up seeing what goes on. Creatives on a play has been absolutely amazing, but it just seems that having a Zenyatta on one side gives a big advantage to that side. That side's Discords and Transcendence just outbalances anything that the Ana can really do, even when she tries purpling the other team while they transcend or while they do anything else. The Seoul Dynasty can't take big advantages off of that unless Prophet goes absolutely ham or Gesture gets a big hook and another meaty shot. So the Seoul Dynasty are going to be defending first. They're going to be running the Prophet on the Pharah. Now we saw Prophet's Pharah be ran on Hanamura first point, and it didn't really yield big results. The San Francisco Shock were practically unfazed by it, and they're not going to run Ryan Zarya. They're going to run the Sigma Hog like always. Violet might run Baptiste, but I wouldn't be surprised if he switches over to the Zenyatta, as he's been running it practically all series. So now we're going to see Prophet's probably going to get hard pocketed by Toby. He likes playing on the... So if we look slowly here on Hollywood, this is the main choke where the attackers will try to take point A. Now, the Pharah play uses this big archway, and he stays right on top. So the snipers that are all the way back here playing from their spawn point of view can't really get a good grasp on him unless he drops down just enough. But Prophet is known for his Pharah play and how he's able to manage his jetpack to keep afloat right here. He likes to stay steady right here and just rain from above. And it didn't work during Hanamura, but we're going to see if it works here on Hollywood. And the San Francisco Shock come out on the D.Va. Presumably, they probably did their homework, and they're realizing that D.Va is at least a way better counter to Pharah than Sigma is. The defensive matrix can practically counter her ult, and the flying practically makes her another aerial threat, especially when the snipers aren't going to have the best point of view to her. It seems like a pause occurred. Let's skip ahead a bit. And we're back. Okay, so the San Francisco Shock come out with a D.Va Hog, double sniper, and they're running a Baptiste instead of the Zenyatta. The Seoul Dynasty are running Prophet's Pharah, and he's standing right there. Oh, but Toby dies really fast. Gesture gets a big pick on Striker, and they just collapse all over them. The San Francisco Shock didn't know what to do. They tried pushing in, and off of Gesture's big hook, Gesture and Marvel just push in, absolutely destroying the San Francisco Shock. And we see Prophet just maintains his play. Let's go back just a little bit. Prophet maintains his play right here. But it looks like he's going back to spawn. I think he's probably either going to taxi his Mercy. I doubt he'll switch, because it worked. Yeah, he's here to taxi his Mercy back. Okay, so what are the San Francisco Shock going to do in order to change what Prophet's doing here? It's going to have to be engaging with D.Va with the defensive matrix and hoping that one of the snipers are able to get a shot or two off before getting hooked. They're playing... Okay, this is an amazing style of play by the Seoul Dynasty. Hold up, give me 1 second. Okay, so by the way that the Seoul Dynasty are playing the Pharah up here, this means that the Shock cannot walk down through main. They just can't. They're just going to get rained from above, and the snipers are playing all the way back here. They can't just step out here without getting hooked. And so therefore, the San Francisco Shock, by default, need to go up here and walk through this corridor, come up the stairs, and take high ground away. The Seoul Dynasty know this because of the Prophet play. So what they do is they put the Ana and the Hog here. And they're basically just keeping this Hog alive no matter what, because they can't purple him. They can't do anything to him unless they fully collapse on him. So this Ana is here just to keep this Hog alive for the whole time and maybe get a big purple. Meanwhile, if the Shock push this way into this corridor and try collapsing on the Hog, Pharah is going to start swooping in, and they do realize that the Sigma is just going to put damage in here, damage after damage after damage, to the point where they'll probably get 1 or 2 picks before the Hog falls down. And this play will either result really successful for the Seoul Dynasty, unless the San Francisco Shock can get a huge pick like they did on Toby earlier, but there was a big collapse. As far as ults go, Creative's getting pretty fast on his Nano Boost, and maybe that'll give an advantage for the Seoul Dynasty as we continue. Far raining damage. And here we go. The Shock try getting a big pick on him, and they don't. Super does get Gesture, though, and they weren't able to collapse. They were not able to collapse, and now they're taking the high ground. Choyobin gets the Seoul Dynasty's Ana, and now they're a bit out of position, and Striker is able to kill the Pharah. And now, all of a sudden, the Seoul Dynasty's plan just falls down. So, practically, the Shock were able to collapse completely, and Gesture got killed. Now they just sweep the rest of the team, make cleanup, and they take point A of Hollywood with a decent amount of time. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. They'll get an extra minute 30 seconds. And now they're going to push in. Let's see what they can do. Now, big thing about this map, especially during this meta, especially with the Hog Sigma, and the snipers, holding this high ground is going to prove crucial to any team. If the San Francisco Shock is able to push through here, take the high ground, let both the Striker and Ons take this high ground and potentially translate to this high ground, they're going to have this whole streets face for absolutely free. And Prophet does not have that same little archway that he really had during first point. So the Seoul Dynasty, if they want to hold here for a good substantial amount of time, considering how much time the Shock have, they need to play strong here, and they need to keep this high ground advantage. If they don't, they're probably going to end up losing at least most of Street phase. Okay, we're going to see the engage. Marvel is a bit taken aback. He's able to separate himself and go back, but the high ground, big pick by Gesture. He's able to take the Baptiste right out of the equation, and I doubt they'll be able to. Marvel is really low, though. Gesture gets another big hook, and Super is probably going to die here. He's able to escape. Ooh. Very scary sights. Okay, so they start pushing and then they take low ground. Big pick by Fitz, taking Striker out of this equation. They just keep taking one by one out and wasting their time. Super dies 2, and now they get res, and it's basically worthless res because they have both tanks out of the fight. Gesture taking big shots right there. They are getting some card push. The bomb gets Mercy. That's huge. They can actually engage here if Mercy is able to get a res or push in. Prophet does get Baptiste, and Baptiste just keeps dying. I feel like Violet's being very aggressive on the Baptiste and dying. Striker gets 2 big picks, but Prophet just automatically trades them, and he's keeping his team alive. Prophet is solo carrying the Seoul Dynasty through these grand finals. What a hook by Super. Absolutely destroying Prophet. They're going to get some more card push off of this, but I really think they should restabilize. But we're going to see if the San Francisco Shock can come back and take this point off. They only have the Hog ult. Meanwhile, the Seoul Dynasty are going to have 3 big ults here and potentially Dragon to engage. As the Seoul Dynasty reset here, so do the San Francisco Shock. And we're going to have a 1 big fight before checkpoint 2 goes on. Can anyone get a really nice shot? Can anyone get a big pick? And Gesture does kill the main tank for the San Francisco Shock. Now it's time for him to go in and get another big pick. They do get the Hanzo. He's probably going to die in this. Oh, he doesn't die to the Gravitic Flux. Can Prophet kill him? Prophet can't kill him. They need to heal their Sigma very badly. They use Whole Hog, they use Dragon. Big pick by Fitz, taking out the tank. As we see, the San Francisco Shock keep losing their tanks at the very beginning of their fights. And it's proving to lose them the fight, as they just don't have sustainability. Can Fitz hit a cool shot? Prophet is absolutely going mental right now. Prophet just keeps getting pick after pick after pick, and he is keeping this team in this game. If the Seoul Dynasty didn't have Prophet, they just wouldn't be here right now. He's just so good. Let's see, they take high ground control back. Prophet trying to get more picks, trying to do more damage. What a shot by Fitz. Ons does take Prophet out of the equation, but it seems like the big pick onto the Zenyatta does keep him in. Super gets Mercy, and now the Dynasty are in big trouble, but they do get the res, but they do get the kill back. Res does come out for the San Francisco Shock. Fitz is able to get a nice pick. Wow, 2 big picks using walls. He's absolutely going crazy. Can they kill the Sigma? They kill the Sigma too, and now they've restabilized. Now, look, they've shaved 3 minutes off the time that the San Francisco Shock came into this map with. They do have Nano Boost, and they can charge up the Mercio and the Sigma ult. Meanwhile, the San Francisco Shock do have some big ults. Fitz goes absolutely crazy here. Right off the res. Basically deeming it useless. Like, he killed him right after he got res. Let's see if Fitz can get some more picks. Striker does get a pick big on creative. Gesture does. Toby gets the big res. That's huge. Transcendence and Ho-Ha come out of the Soul Dynasty. Yeah, Marvel tries using his Gravitic Flux, doesn't get anything. Super gets 2 big picks. Super gets a 3rd. He's absolutely going crazy. Super gets 3 kills there, and it looks like they might be able to take this fight back. Zenyatta alone on the flank, and he gets, oh my god, he gets the Widowmaker, and oh, it's so close, it's so close. Violet on 1 HP is able to get both the Mercy and the Widowmaker up top. He just goes on these crazy flanks and puts his team in weird positions, but they're able to win. They do take second point back, and now it's all about can they finish this map with some time left. Prophet gets Violet, but he dies. It's just time to reset for the Soul Dynasty. If anything, try to get through the rest of your team. Everyone get out of spawn. You do have ults coming up. Ult economy is going to be very important here. Striker has an advanced position on the team. That's why they're taking high ground. Trying to take an extra push, an extra pick here can lead to just taking spawn control of the other team. So we see gestures going around on the flank. Maybe try to get the person on cart. He doesn't. Striker gets slept. What an amazing sleep. They drag in Striker and they're up 1. Now it's time to engage. Full engage. Prophet gets another big pick. And so does Gesture. Moth does get a big res, but they are down to tank. The San Francisco Shock are. Can Prophet get another kill here? Can Prophet make something happen? Can his magic come alive once again? Are they able to extend to another map? The Soul Dynasty do have 4 ults. They're working with a lot. The Shock have 5 ults. It really comes to who can get the first pick first and who cannot let the other Mercy. If the other Mercy reses, it basically deems that pick useless. So they really need to make sure the Mercy does not res. So on Ons gets a big pick on Fitz. Can it be res? It can't be res. It seems like Gesture gets a big hook. Dragon and Transcendence come out. But the Dynasty do get 2 picks through Transcendence. And they are able to stabilize. Prophet dies to Venom Mine. But I don't think... Big hook on Violet. Can he die? Violet doesn't die. Violet does die now. Gesture getting a big hook there. And Marvel on the other angle coming in, killing Striker. They are able to stabilize. There's a minute left on the map. Can the Shock finish? Violet goes on to Ana, a rare pick for him. He's probably trying to get a big purple onto the Hog so that they kill him because he's been staying alive for too long now. A big purple or maybe a nano boost, but I doubt that's what they're trying to charge with a minute left. It's sustainability over anything. Can Fitz get a big pick? He does have walls to begin fight. Let's see if he pops them right here. They know they're all upstairs. So what's going to happen? Marvel tries engaging with his ult. That's huge. What a hook. Wow, they kill Super. They get him right out of the fight. Fitz. Can Fitz get a pick? They're down 1. They have ults here. The Soul Dynasty can really win this fight. If they can get this fight out of the way before Super can come back and get a 6v6 back. What can they do? What can they do? Choyobin and Violet trying to fight. Okay, they have sights on. Big sleep by Violet. Can they engage onto this, though? They decide not to. Big sleep. So now Violet is split. Violet runs straight into the dragon, and Prophet gets a big pick. Prophet keeping his team in this. Moth does get the res, and that's the one thing they couldn't let happen. Can anyone get another big pick here for the Soul Dynasty, or are the San Francisco Shock going to be able to roll through and get 3rd point? Big dragon comes in. Prophet dies to the dragon, and so does Toby. The San Francisco Shock have big plays here. Striker's going absolutely crazy. Can they push? Striker gets a 3rd. Striker carrying. Can Striker get a 4th? Okay, he gets killed by 5th, but that Fitz gets 2. And Marvel's about to ult. Can Fitz get a 3rd? Marvel gets another pick. Oh my god, they're restabilizing. Moth gets a Super gets 2. The Tracer's on point. It's literally going crazy. And wow, the Soul Dynasty are able to hold the San Francisco Shock from finishing the map. It is absolutely crazy. Striker gets 3 kills. They get another. There's 4 down. And all of a sudden, Fitz gets 2 out of nowhere. The Sigma ulties, and it's just crazy. The San Francisco Shock are not able to finish the map. This gives the Soul Dynasty a good shot at maybe finishing. And if they finish, it's 3-3 and they go to a map 7. Who knows what can happen now? Can the Soul Dynasty come out and be stronger than San Francisco Shock? Can Prophet prove to once again be an absolute carry, an absolute monster? And we're going to see right now. Okay, I'm assuming that the Soul... Yeah, look at this. Beautiful play by Fitz. Look, at this point in time, they're down Prophet, they're down Toby, and they're about to lose 1 more. They lose Gesture, so they only have a tank, a DPS, and a healer alive. And this is overtime, and the San Francisco Shock are playing a 6v3. Fitz goes absolutely crazy, getting 2 big picks here, even though he gets rocked. Ooh, just gets a nice shot on Striker, gets a big shot on Violet, and now he's made it a 3v4, and Toby comes back on trying to just make point last longer, or trying to stall. My bad. Okay. So Seoul Dynasty, they're going to be playing mirror comps except for the Ana instead of the Zenyatta. So Violet is back on Zenyatta. He was running a lot of different healers on attack, and it wasn't really working for him until he went back to the Zenyatta. So it really just seems like Zenyatta is his character, at least for right now. It is putting work in, and when he's alive, there's somehow, some way that San Francisco Shock are able to win fights. When he's dead, it usually ends up going for the Seoul Dynasty. So we're going to see here, what can the Seoul Dynasty do? How can they get this point away? Are they able to push for map 7? San Francisco Shock holding routine high ground, going back to low ground, about to check whether the Seoul Dynasty are just going to push in low or go left. Nice little pick by Fitz. Isn't able to get the pick. Would have been huge if he gets that pick though. Okay, so we see the Seoul Dynasty are taking high ground here. They're going to try to try go down through stairs, maybe get a big pick here. Also, by taking high ground, Gesture is able to pull up here and maybe get a big hook and try maybe getting a big pick. We see nothing really coming out. Stagnant. No big picks. Nothing really big happening. So far, Violet gets a huge pick on Gesture, and now the Seoul Dynasty are out without their main tank. Prophet gets a big pick on Striker, but now both tanks are down for the Seoul Dynasty. The San Francisco Shock are back up to 6 players at 6v4, and they either need to reset or they need to die. Striker gets a big pick on Fitz. And yeah, the Seoul Dynasty are just trying to get a reset here. There's no point in pushing in unless they can get one good pick. Both their tanks are coming back from out of spawn. Are they able to finally engage here and get a better pick? They're going to go around, trying to mitigate and not take any damage from the Widowmaker or the Hanzo. But that's still not working. Ons has great sight lines. I'm sorry. Prophet gets a big pick on Moth, though. They're down their main healer. They cannot res. Can he get a big pick on Violet here? Violet is forced to use Transcendence. Can they push in? They do have sights, but Super gets a big pick on Gesture, and Transcendence is still up. Choyobin uses his ult, but he doesn't get anything out of it. The Seoul Dynasty are in a very tricky position. They can't really get anything out. Super gets another big pick on Creative, but Fitz does get a pick on Violet. It's even. Both healers are down. Can Prophet get something done here? Prophet tries getting a kill. Oh, Prophet doesn't get anything. Marvel tries ulting. Prophet dies. Marvel gets Super in his ult, but I doubt he'll get anything as Super heals himself. Nothing really big happens here. The Seoul Dynasty end up losing big time there. But they do get their Transcendence out of the San Francisco Shock. Maybe they're able to come in next fight and get another pick. They need to get Violet out. That was a huge fight. Moth had died. They were able to push in, but Violet's Transcendence and Super's ult just ended up being too much for them. Aunt with a dirty little peek. Doesn't get a good shot though. We're going to see they take another angle again. They're just trying to not take any damage from the Widowmaker. But although the San Francisco Shock's Widowmaker does have walls up and she can see anything that's going on. So they're probably going to wait for the walls to disappear before they start actually engaging, because it's a bit risky to just peek with walls. Let's see. The San Francisco Shock do have quite a bit of ults. They have 3 big ults here, while the Seoul Dynasty only have Nano Boost and maybe Dragon. What can they do? They need a big hook here. Okay, Dragon comes out to split the team up. Can Ana get out of there? Gesture's far away from his team. He doesn't hit a hook, but they are collapsing on. The San Francisco Shock mitigate all their land away, and they come back. They push in. The Seoul Dynasty do take a lot of point here, but this is last fight territory. In all honesty, Ons is on a crazy flank here, all the way back. They're able to cancel Choyobin's ult. Ons does get a big pick on Prophet. Marvel does get a big pick on Ons right back though. Transcendence comes out of Violet. And let's see who can get the kills here. Fitz gets a big pick on Striker. This is huge. They're up 1. Can Fitz get another pick? Super gets a big pick on Gesture. It's an even fight up to now. Huge Sigma ulti gets Choyobin and Super low. Violet gets a big pick on Toby though. This is going 1 for 1 for 1 for 1 for 1. Creative kills Violet, and now they should be able to win this fight. Violet's out of it. They are able to get Hog here. He just uses heal and he dies. The Seoul Dynasty get the point at the last minute. They take the whole 4-minute bank up, and they're able to take it, but the San Francisco Shock are really holding their ground right now. Now the Shock are going to take this high ground again. The high ground that if they are able to hold it, they can actually hold the Seoul Dynasty here. I mean, the Shock came in the streets phase of Hollywood with 5 minutes and took it to the second checkpoint with only a minute left. Ons gets a nice pick on Creative. Absolutely going crazy. He's been hitting headshot after headshot after headshot. Toby gets res though. It's back to a 6v6. We're going to see what can happen. What can happen? Teams reset. They're trying to see a good vantage point, maybe get a 6 push, maybe get Hog, have a good pick here, have a good hook. Prophet hits a nice shot on the striker, but Violet just trades, and then Moth gets the reset. Now it's a 6v5, and the Seoul Dynasty can't really get a push unless Fitz gets a nice kill, but he doesn't. He gets killed inside by Choyobin. And now the Seoul Dynasty, they invest Nano here, trying to get something out of it. Gesture is able to get Choyobin, but that isn't really helping. I mean, they're still down 2, and they Striker and Ons get both Toby and Gesture, and now all of a sudden the Seoul Dynasty invested Nano there, which I think was not the smartest idea. Ons is going off right now. Ons has hit several headshots, gotten like 5 or 6 out of the last 10 picks for the San Francisco Shock. He's going absolutely crazy. The Shock do have 4 ults. They're on point. They're on track to get all 5 ults here. Meanwhile, the Seoul Dynasty are only going to have these 2 ults, if we're being honest. Right now, I think the Seoul Dynasty want to get a very scrappy 20-second fight, die completely. But if they're able to get 2 or 3 ults out of the San Francisco Shock, they are in good hands when it comes to their next fight, because they are going to go here through 1 fight territory. And it's a bit iffy. I mean, you don't want to lose here, but you do want to get ults out of the San Francisco Shock, because even if you push it farther, they're gonna have 6 ults, re-engage, and you're just gonna lose. So let's see what if the Seoul Dynasty can pull off some magic. Can Prophet, can Gesture, can Creative, can anyone on the Seoul Dynasty team get 2 big picks, get 1 big pick, and in essence push the Shock back and take it to 3rd point. Let's see what goes on. The Shock keep holding the high ground, the default high ground, and the Seoul Dynasty are going to try to go through here again, try to get a big hook, try to get a big pick. This is all that matters to them. 1 up, and they can win the fight. They've proved it before, but the Shock also proved to be very strong here. There's only 45 seconds left. They are now in final fight territory, and the San Francisco Shock have 5 ults, about to be 6 ults. Mercy pops her ult, but Striker gets a big pick on Fitz. They are now down 1. Big Dragon splits team. Let's see what's going on. The Seoul Dynasty are a bit split. A huge hook. And Violet kills Creative. Marvel does take Choyobin down, but now they're down. They're down 3. It looks like the San Francisco Shock might win this. They take down the Mercy too. Oh my god, super. The San Francisco Shock are going absolutely crazy. There are only 23 seconds left. The Seoul Dynasty need to reset right now and get the team back together and try to push in on one last really scrappy fight. The San Francisco Shock have 3 big ults, 4 almost, if you count Choyobin at 90%. What can they do here? They need to get a huge pick if they want any chance at winning. Oh, Fitz misses shots on Violet. They try pushing. The Widowmaker engages on nothing. Prophet, maybe Prophet. They need a hero Prophet play here. He's been able to keep him in so many times before. They have San Francisco Shock currently have sights up. They're trying to get any pick they can. The Seoul Dynasty don't seem to find anything. Sigma uses his ult, picks someone up. Dragon comes out. Super good gesture. They get Toby too. Oh no, it's gone wrong. Super Whole Hogs. Super Whole Hogs the team off. And the San Francisco Shock have won the Grand Finals of the 2020 season. They are back-to-back champions. They've done it. Super's hug. At the end of the day, Whole Hogs the team off, and they win. They win in a brilliant series. They win in 6 maps, 4-2 over the Seoul Dynasty. At one point in time, the Seoul Dynasty had taken 2 maps in a row out of the Shock, but they don't let that affect them. The Shock are such a strong team, a strong mental team, and they're able to just reset and win their fights, and it happens so many times. The key players here, Violet on the Zenyatta, anytime his Discord orb was up, that character was going to die. He had Transcendence up in key times. He had these crazy flanks, and he wouldn't get punished for it that often. Violet, a huge player. Striker, doing consistent damage, constantly being on the toes of the Seoul Dynasty. And lastly, I have to give a big round of applause here to, of course, both tanks for the Shock, but more than anything, Moth's Mercy was crazy. You know, you normally think of Mercy as just like there doesn't take a lot of brain to play Mercy. She isn't a hugely skilled character, but she is. It's absolutely crazy what Moth was able to do. Moth outplayed Toby on Mercy. Moth had so many reses, and he was never ever killed for it. He died once resing, and that was like back on Hanamura or maybe Gibraltar. He was not punished whatsoever for his reses. And that just constantly gave the Shock an ability. If they were to go down 2, it is now a 6v4, and then he'd get a big res 5v6. They will pick 5v5, and all of a sudden the Shock are back in these fights, and they're able to maintain. And just because of that, the Shock are able to win this series. If anything, I'd give my MVP to either Moth or Violet. Both of them played an absolutely great series. Round of applause to the Seoul Dynasty, especially to Prophet. he went absolutely mental in the maps they won. He was the carry in the maps they lost. He was the beacon of hope that almost got them across the finish line. And yeah, that's the end. We see that the San Francisco Shock end up being the champions of the 2020 season. And for today's VOD review, that'll be all. Thank you all for watching. Have a nice night.